Good evening, and welcome again to Pumping Up with Hans and Franz, the informative training program for achieving financial success.
Once again, I am Hans.
And I am Franz, and we just want to pump you up.
Hey, how's it going? Hans Schaff here, the real Hans. I want to share with you this quick message. I've been listening to a little bit of this psycho-cybernetics and reading some other books and things as well, and it's becoming very apparent and very obvious to me about how important it is in when a child's development, how different experiences in their life and how that can be interpreted and how that can really affect the entire course of their life. And there's a cop just going by. And anyway, one example, I've had this issue growing up with soccer. I used to love playing soccer. I still love soccer today. But in high school, I had this issue where a simple pass I would try and make, I would screw it up. A simple pass, very easy. Anybody could do it who's never even played soccer. And yet I was having trouble connecting a pass that was maybe to someone who was 10 feet in front of me. And the problem was because of what I was telling myself in my head. I was telling myself I was stupid, I was dumb, I couldn't, I was terrible, I wasn't a good soccer player, and I would beat myself up mentally and physically, not physically, mentally, and psychologically because I didn't want anybody else to do it. I wanted to beat them to it. I didn't want anyone else to criticize and tell me how bad I was. I figured if I could say it fast enough, quickly enough, and loud enough that it would, and everyone else, would be like, oh, look, I already punished myself, you don't have to tell me. And it was a terrible, terrible habit, something that basically I got cut from my varsity soccer team because of it. When I had plenty of skill to play on the team, to contribute, but I just could not get past myself, basically. I had this crazy limiting belief, and it really scarred me, in playing soccer. And some other sports like that, I still have, I still had trouble with that. It spread from soccer to other sports as well. So that's kind of the power in unconscious belief. Something you may have the right willpower, but if you develop this wrong belief and you start beating yourself up, it can really scar you. So I got to thinking about this and thinking about when I have kids and I start coaching their soccer teams, something I was going to do to really help them to basically become impervious to this, where they won't have to suffer through something like this, something that's self-imposed. It wasn't anyone else who did this to me that I can remember. What I would do, though, as a coach is I would tell them, because think about it this way, right? You think about the Super Bowl and how there's always that kicker, right? And you've got the whole game on the line, seconds left on the clock, and the kicker has to go, and it's up to him to miss and win the game or lose the game for the team. And you have all that pressure, more often than not, the kicker will actually, make it through, or he'll make the shot, right? Or maybe he'll miss the shot and then get a second opportunity and he'll make the second one, even under all that pressure. And it's because they train for it. They train to be in those high pressure situations. That's all the kicker's job is, simply to kick the ball through the field goal, right? And it's amazing how accurate these guys are, considering the distances and considering how difficult it is to kick those kind of shots. But it's because they go through some crazy mental training to handle that kind of pressure. So what if you could train a child from a young age to be put into, not obviously that much pressure, but you're going to have pressure from parents, you're going to have pressure from teammates and from the other team and coaches and other different people like that throughout their life, teachers, peers, whatever. Why not simulate that ahead of time and train a child, when they're young, during a soccer game or something, in practice, to say, okay, here's where, and kind of set it up for them to be successful, so they can kind of almost look forward to being criticized as a means to motivating them. So they interpret that not as criticism that they're a bad person or that they're horrible or they're stupid, anything like that, but just as, make them change that symbolically in their mind, what that actually means, change the meaning of it. So if that were ever to happen, all it would do is simply motivate them to actually be more successful and really turn it on. I mean, how much better prepared for life would a child become? Think about it. Maybe there was one teacher who was just very critical towards students, and that teacher happened to mention something, a snide or sarcastic comment to the child, and the child would hear it and go back to that same lesson in soccer where you train the child that, when you hear these voices, you hear those things, it doesn't mean anything about you, it's a motivation for you, and how all of a sudden they completely turn around, turn it on, and now that child becomes a superstar, or becomes a successful student, or just really, I just think how empowering that would be for a child to be able to develop that mindset early on, because so many kids, you see them, they miss a shot, when playing some sports, or they get told by their peers, like, you're stupid or you're dumb, and not realizing what effect that has on a child but I'm learning in these books and things that it has a massive impact on their whole life. So it's just so powerful to realize what you can do for a child. If you're able to set them up for success early on, and this applies for anybody, but obviously you're most impacted, before the age of 12 or 15 or whatever it is. So that's where it begins, right? So anyway, just had that thought I want to share it with you, just to kind of help you realize, maybe if you're a parent, if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, realize the importance and the impact that you can have on a child. Whatever you say, especially if they view you as a person of authority, and the intensity of what you are saying to them, and the belief in which they have it, and the repetition, all those factors really come in. You can totally scar or build up a child for life, even a person, in fact, if they view you as an authority, they hear repetitively, and it's communicated to them in an intense fashion. So, be conscious of what you're saying to people around you, to your nieces or nephews or grandchildren or neighbors' kids, or friends of your kids, whatever, because that stuff can have a lasting impact on their life. So be conscious of that. Be conscious of what you yourself are telling yourself and what you're hearing, what you're surrounding yourself with, the influences in your life, because it can dramatically affect your life without you consciously being aware of it. So anyway, some very impactful stuff I'm listening here to today, and just want to share that tip with you today. I just thought that would be really cool. Maybe something you want to try out with your kids, or if you're a coach or a teacher, like I say, because I think it could have a dramatic impact on their life and the success and the happiness they have in their life as well. So anyway, just want to share some value with you here today I got from this message, from this audiobook we're listening to. So anyway, go ahead and we'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Hans Schaff, the real Hans. We'll see you there.